Hey, welcome everyone. This is Epicharismatic, and today I'm going to go over this James Charles article from Cosmopolitan. I haven't read it. I've seen other people's reactions on it, but I haven't really read it myself. So I just want to read this out to you guys and just share my opinion on it. So let's get started. All right. James Charles would like to be uncancelled, please. Okay. All right. So. Anyways, more than 2 years after allegations of sexual impropriety sent the superstar beauty YouTuber into influencer purgatory, he's hoping to relaunch himself and his brand with the help of a new makeup line. In a wide-ranging interview with Cosmopolitan, Charles talks about messing up and trying to move on. This doesn't make him sound good. Why would you start out the sentence with more than 2 years after allegations of sexual impropriety sending him into influencer purgatory? How are you gonna ask to be uncancelled and start it with, yeah, we know he did some sexually deviant things that are very inappropriate. Actually, they're criminal. They're not even just inappropriate. They're straight up criminal. But to even start out the sentence like that is like, and then talking about how he's in influencer purgatory, to me, I mean, just that first part of that first sentence alone sounds like he should just stay where he is. Okay, anyways. It is the year of our internet 2023. Okay. Look at this. So here I am, sitting in James Charles's Encino mansion like a pop culture priest, ready to take his confession. Bro. If he's asking to be uncancelled, doesn't that mean he's in a more submissive, or rather, just not this high status that you're equating him to be by calling him a pop culture priest? You know what I mean? Shouldn't he be in a much more humble position right now? How are you going to sit here talking about, oh, he's been canceled and he's in purgatory and he would like to be uncancelled, please? What did he say here? He said he wants to relaunch himself and he's had years of after allegations came out, and then you're sitting here like he has a mansion in Encino and he's basically like a pop culture priest. Like what? Okay, whatever. Anyways, I don't want to sit here and mope and whine and cry. Okay. Look, you're gonna sit here and say no, you're not a pedophile. Listen, we know what the definition of a pedophile is. Even if he's not that from a technical standpoint, you're still breaking a law by going for people too young. I mean, people are equating it with that word because you're the one who's skimming too close to it yourself. You know what I mean? Like, yes, 16 years old is not an 8-year-old, right? A 16-year-old and an 8-year-old biologically are not the same. You're not in the same stage of development. But to even go anywhere near that age, you're on thin ice already. I mean, first of all, that's a complete crime anyway. So you're not even on thin ice. The ice broke. You're drowning. Okay? Or maybe you're not drowning. If you were a pedophile, a true one, trying to mess with like a 8-year-old, that would be you drowning. You are swimming and trying to stay afloat. You're trying to not drown by going after teenagers who are not 18 years old, younger than 18, not 19. So, like, yeah, right? You're not a pedophile, okay, whatever. But you can't sit here and be like, oh my god, people are saying I'm a pedophile. Oh, it's okay, you're not a pedophile. Like, the fact that people could even call you that should make you sit there and reevaluate your behaviors and your actions. Just the fact that people can even accuse you of that is a problem. Like, that's a problem right there. That's something where you shouldn't, okay, maybe you do need to comfort yourself, right? I could give you that, you're a human being, but the fact that you even need to comfort yourself in this way right here, the fact that you have to say this to yourself, the fact that you have to even say this to yourself is a problem. That's a problem right there. You need to figure out what's wrong exactly. I mean, you know what's wrong. But you need to really go to the root at what's wrong and fix that. Because you should not ever have to say this to yourself. You really should never have to say that to yourself, honestly. Anyways, you're not a groomer. I mean, yeah, this falls into the same category as this. To me, this is the big sentence. This is where you have to sit there and go, what is wrong with me? What has gone on in my life that I have to tell myself that this is a fact about myself? Like, where have I come to? Bro, you're like 24 years old. Like, you're not old at all. The fact that you're even skirting in that kind of territory, like if you dated people your age, those people are still very young. You know what I mean? Like what like it just doesn't make sense. Like I get when somebody's 30 plus and they want to date young. But even when they date young, they do it appropriately. Mid 20s, early 20s, the youngest. Like why are you trying to go for people who are literally on the line between childhood and adulthood? Why? Why are you messing with that age group when you're not in that age group? You know what I mean? Again, even like 30 and early 20s, even 30 and early 20s, even that's a really big gap, but at least you're both adults, you know? Eh, You should be embarrassed by this. You should be embarrassed that you ever had to say this to yourself. That's all I got to say about that. You're not a predator. That's debatable. That's very debatable. And I think you would lose that debate if we were to debate it. But you made a big mistake. I think you made multiple mistakes technically because I don't think you had one isolated incident. Even if some people were lying about their allegations towards you, I'm still certain that there was more than one allegation. So yeah, you made multiple mistakes. Anyways, I mean, this is a nice picture. I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, this isn't a nice picture, just because I don't like you, right? Or I don't like James Charles, I should say. This is a good picture. You know, not mad at it. Anyways, at this point, you're familiar with the specific quid pro quo inherent in celebrity. Whoa, 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 whoa. Are you guys really just like saying out loud, like, oh yeah, this is a quid pro quo? Anybody who doesn't know what quid pro quo is basically you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. So you do me a favor and I'll get, or no, I do you a favor and you give me something back in return. How are you going to just admit this like that? At this point, you're likely familiar with the specific quid pro quo inherent in celebrity profiles like this. What? The ones that come together post cancellation after a respectable amount of time has passed post cancelable sin. I gotta read that again because this is a lot of syllables. Okay, all right. You're familiar with the specific quid pro quo inherent in celebrity profiles like this. The ones that come together post cancellation after a respectable amount of time has passed post cancelable sin. Hey guys, you already know that we do this thing where we're gonna give James Charles this platform because he's gonna get a lot of people to read our dying magazine because people don't even read magazines anymore. We have social media. We can interact with celebrities just directly nowadays via social media. There's really no need for us big media, you know, magazine companies. So we're just gonna do this favor for him because it'll save our asses. Like, okay, it's no surprise that a star's willingness to answer intimate questions about a catastrophic stretch of their lives increases dramatically when they have a project to promote. Yeah. In today's case, that's ostensibly Charles's new makeup, but it's also Charles himself, a warier, acceptably contrite, but still just a little extra Charles. Okay? This very interview is to be a trial balloon. Its reception, the answer to the question both of us, and maybe you too, if what auto-populates in Google search can be believed, are here to ask. Is James Charles still canceled? Um, yeah. Yeah, I think he is. He's on, honestly, dude, you, James Charles's cancellation was purely his own doing. And when I say it's purely his own doing, it's like more of his own doing than Colleen's and Shane's. Because Colleen and Shane did stuff a long time ago, and recently too, but I'm specifically, a lot of what made them really canceled are clips from a long time ago that you can't just completely erase off the internet, right? So even if hypothetically, and we know this isn't true, but even if hypothetically they've changed as people and they're good people now, that stuff will always come back. James's cancellation is literally his actions into the present day. It's his actions from really not that long ago. And it's his actions that he continues to still do. So it's like, James, you want to not be canceled? You want to be uncanceled? Do it. You are the one who got yourself canceled. You literally are the one who got yourself canceled. Stop messaging teenagers. Stop trying to be romantically involved with teenagers. Try to be romantically involved with people in their 20s. You're in your 20s. Meet somebody in your 20s. It's literally that simple and that easy. It's that easy. Just stop talking to kids. Like, bro. Okay, fine. Let me say it like this. Stop talking to teenagers. Just stop talking to teenagers. Not even a 19-year-old. Just stay away even from them, honestly. It's not that hard. And you want to sit here and play victim like, oh, but you're attracted to younger than you. Okay, 20 is still younger than 24. You know that, right? You know that, right? Like, you know basic arithmetic, right? 20 is younger than 24. So, like, there really is no excuse for you. And this is me engaging in your weirdo, not fantasies, but your weirdo preferences where you want somebody younger than you, even though you're already very young yourself. Okay, whatever. After all, would a still ousted person be allowed to pose for red carpet cameras at the People's Choice Awards? And man, the People's Choice Awards is still a thing. I didn't even know that was still a thing. Anyways, or chat amiably? I thought it was amicably. I don't know if amiably is a real word, but I'll take your word for it. Would a still banished person have hundreds of thousands of fans? Enthusiastically engage with his YouTube beauty tutorials? Well, I mean, Shane Dawson got canceled, and he's still making videos now, but his videos are not doing the numbers that they were doing when he was really, really huge. So it's like, I still consider him to be canceled, but I don't know. Actually, do you guys think that Shane Dawson is still canceled? It's kind of hard because how could somebody be canceled but they're still making videos and people are still participating in them? You know, I guess he's not canceled, but the cancellation made him drop in terms of views and status. Does that make sense? So yeah, I guess he's not canceled. But if he keeps messaging teenagers, he's gonna keep going downhill. So like he needs to stop doing that regardless. Anyways, would a truly exiled person be 24 years old and living in a reportedly $7 million farmhouse that looks like a cross between the homes featured in the later seasons of Vanderpump Rules and any season of all iterations of the Kardashians? Are you flexing on us right now? How are you gonna ask for him to not be canceled and be like, you know what, but he isn't even really canceled anyway. Like, look at his house. Like, you're gonna flex on us as proof that you're not canceled? Oh, James, you need to. You know what? You do deserve a farmhouse, but not a $7 million one. You need to live in a much more humble farmhouse and literally work with animals on a farm for at least a year. Because this, you're not in an elevated position right now. You're literally sitting here asking to not be canceled anymore, to be uncanceled. You can't ask to be uncanceled and then pump yourself up and be like, oh, but I'm the priest of pop culture and I have the $7 million farmhouse. Like, pick a side, dude. Pick a side. And right now, the title of this article, if I scroll back up, title of this article is that you would like to be uncanceled, please. Please means you're asking us for permission. Us. So if you're going to ask us for permission, you need to come off as humble. You can't come off as somebody who's flexing. Okay, anyways. Painted. A solo venture 4 years in the making, launches in just a few weeks. Yeah, I saw the ad for Painted. It doesn't look bad, to be honest, but yeah, it also doesn't really help your case when you're asking, can I be uncanceled, please? Like, I really want to continue making a lot of money. You know, like, the $7 million house's mortgage isn't going to pay itself, you know? Like, I need to pay that somehow. Like, and you did something really wrong, too. It's not even, you know, dumb jokes or something. Which, it's like, jokes are still pretty bad, but it's not the same as causing harm to a human being in real time, you know? Yeah. People have speculated that I have partners or investors, which I don't know. I I don't I don't really care if you have investors or if you fund your own line. What like you already just flexed to me your $7 million house. I know you have a lot of money. I know you have, even if it's self funded, I know you have a lot of money to put into that. Yeah, I know having investors and partners will put way more money into it, makes it a lot less risky for you, but like you still have a lot of the fact that you can even do this and the fact that you've been flexing for the past couple paragraphs tells me that there's no point in you even saying this. Like, are you trying to go back to the humble thing again? So you start and you're humble. And then you have to brag about being a pop culture priest. And then you go back to humble because you're asking to be uncancelled and your crime was 2 years ago or whatever the hell you said. And then now you're going back to, oh, I'm humble because I didn't have $1 million investors. Bro, you literally, or oh, sorry, no investors, no partners, no $1 billion backers behind me. Excuse me, I'm sorry. You have the millions, you just don't have the billions, right? You literally sound like Donald Trump when he's like, oh yeah, my dad gave me a small loan of $1 million. Like, you realize that your fans are regular people that don't make a lot. Most I don't even think make six figures, let alone seven. This is what happens when either one, you forget where you came from, which I don't know if he came from, if he still came from wealth. I know he comes from central New York State. I know that much. I don't know, like, if his family, I think his family was middle class. So, I mean, maybe he grew up with his needs met, you know, and not feeling deprived financially. But still, like, he must have forgotten what it's like to make normal money or to live in a household with people supported by parents who make normal money, you know? Or he's never experienced that and he's always had a lot of money. He just never had this much money. But he doesn't have anybody around him to be like, hey, you are marketing to people who don't have money. You have to talk to them a certain way. You have to understand where they come from if you want to continue making money off of them. Like, beyond the fact that you don't have that life experience right now because you are in a different position than us, if we are your audience and if you're making money off of the regular person, you need to understand that when you're interacting with us. When you're asking for our money, because that's what this is. This is you asking for our money. Yes, you're offering a product, but come on, like, you're trying to make money. That's why you're like, can I be uncancelled, please? Because I want to sell this and I don't want it to flop. Like, it's different if you ask this question because you just want to make videos again and you don't have some new product that you're trying to launch, that you're trying to sell. That would be a lot more genuine. But you're being very clear about how you want to come back and be relevant again so that you can make money off of us. Meanwhile, we're living in an era of inflation. Rent prices are through the roof. Literally, sorry. People can't afford homes. Honestly, like, literally just buying a home is it's starting to be considered a luxury instead of something that is kind of inevitable as long as you work hard. And this is a time where you're like, yeah, but I want more money. Like, it's not smart. Like, that's my thing, is that, like, yeah, okay, I get it. If this isn't your life experience, you're not going to understand what it's like to struggle the way we're struggling. Okay, fine, I get that. But, like, the way that you can't even imagine it, that's the problem. That's the problem. And to me, it makes you... The thing is, I have a tendency to claim that people who don't understand these things are dumb or ignorant. But it's not even that, really. It really is a lack of empathy. The fact that you can't imagine yourself ever being in that position, and therefore that's not you, that's not your problem, it makes you act like this. It makes you go back and forth with this, sitting in your Encino mansion like a pop culture priest, and then going here going, oh, it's okay, okay, babe, this is your fault. No, you're not a pedophile. No, you're not a groomer. No, you're not a predator, but you made a big mistake. Like, and then going back and forth, like, over here saying, is James Charles still canceled? Like, and then going, but if he was really canceled, would he live in a $7 million farmhouse? Like, I. This is somebody who just doesn't understand regular people and how regular people work. And it's not hard. We just want respect. Obviously, the way everybody wants respect. We want a person to be genuine. We want authenticity. We don't want people to just come back, sell us something, especially during a time when we can't really afford it anyways. And then to just leave and then come back when they need to sell something. Like, it's, and then to openly say stuff like, what was it earlier? Like, just outright talking about, oh yeah, you know, quid pro quo is the thing with celebrity profiles. Why would you say that? Why would you say this? You're not even trying. You're literally not even trying to come off as genuine. Like, it's one thing to come off as fake, but you were at least trying to be genuine. You're not even trying to be genuine here. It's like, it's literally so far from what I'm reading. It's like you're like, okay, can you give me your money now? Even though you don't have any money because we're living in a recession. Please? No, I'm not gonna just give you my money because you asked. Like, this is so stupid. Anyways, I don't even know where I was at. When I polled friends and colleagues about Charles in the run-up to this day, the general consensus was that he had done something bad, but no one was clear on exactly what. It was messaging teenagers who were under the age of 18, asking for armpit hair pictures, and trying to be involved with them romantically. Believe me, people do know that if anybody, whoever knows of James Charles, anyone who knows who James Charles is, knows why he got canceled. So this is categorically false. This is just not true. But anyways, that neither of us knows how it will go is due to the murky nature of cancel culture. I don't think cancel culture is this confusing. I think anybody who doesn't understand the internet will be confused by cancel culture. They will view it as having crisscrossing tripwires of implied and loosely enforced rules. There's a reason why the rules are loosely enforced. The truth is, there's conditions to every rule. So for example, I've done this video, I compared Shane and Colleen's cancellations, and I talked about what made them very similar. And one of the things that I mentioned about their cancellations and how similar they were is the fact that they both had really offensive content back in the day, and they've apologized for it in the past, and they came out totally fine. And you would think, and I'm talking really bad stuff. I mean, Shane had blackface. Like, bro, you learn about blackface in history class. That's how bad it is. Like, people get educated on it because of how wrong it is. And somehow he was doing that in the 2000s, like the late 2000s. That's crazy to me. But anyways, my point is, Shane and Colleen have done things that you would think would get them canceled forever, and yet they've been forgiven for it. So James can very easily, the thing is, James is more, people accused him of doing things, but even with that, it's so easy to get out of being canceled. The only reason people don't get out of being canceled is that they're too arrogant to genuinely apologize, or they're too self-centered to even understand how they wronged somebody else. That's the only reason cancel culture could ever be confusing to somebody, is if their head is so big, or their lack of empathy towards other people. It's so empty, it's so void of any sort of empathy possible that they can't do it. They can't do it. How are they going to apologize for something that they're not sorry for? How are they going to apologize for something that they don't see as wrong? You can't apologize for something that you don't understand the severity of. You just can't do that. So yeah, as long as you're a self-centered person who can never put yourself in somebody else's shoes, as long as you're that, you're always going to view cancel culture as murky, and you're always going to view the rules as crisscrossing tripwires of implied and loosely enforced rules. No, the internet doesn't dole out forgiveness or forgetfulness simply at a whim. Seemingly at a whim, excuse me. It's what I just said. If you give a genuine apology, people forget about it. If if you give it time and you stop doing the things that got you canceled, that will also get you forgiven. Why? Oh, I don't know, maybe because you actually stopped doing the thing that people wanted you to stop doing. Like, yeah, yeah, of course you would be forgiven. You stopped doing that thing that people said you need to stop doing. Why wouldn't you be forgiven if you actually genuinely changed? Which is a big thing that people ask for on the internet is change and become a good person, but that's like impossible to do if you're any of these people I mentioned, including it seems including James. But anyways, it's a landscape hellscape, some would say, in which all comebacks are tentative and where the conversation around an offense often ends up obscuring the offense itself. I, I already said what I had to say in terms of comments like that. Yeah, and then when I polled friends and colleagues, no, we know what he did. We know what he did. I already said it earlier. But anyways, as a very online millennial, I had long been ambiently aware of Charles while also knowing next to nothing about him. Okay, you do know most of James Charles's fans aren't millennial. They're Gen Z. They're one generation younger than you. So that's why you don't know. It's not because the internet doesn't know. It's because you're not in his demographic, dude. Anyways, bored at home during the pandemic, I watched the Dramageddon feud he had with an dude, Dramageddon. I already talked about this in the Shane and Colleen video. Like, that was so good. Like, Tati, oh my god, she knows how to get people with her videos. I love it. Anyways, anecdotally, it seems like everyone in my life under the age of 25 consider Charles an internet celebrity, and no one over 45 has ever heard of him, unless they have kids. Yeah, hello, you just said it, internet celebrity. People over 45 aren't into the internet that much. They're just not. Good for them, though, because so I love the internet. Like, I'm literally here, I'm on the internet, but I have my criticisms of the internet, you know? We're a little bit cringe sometimes. And it's funny because every generation says that the generation older than them is cringe. And they don't realize that, like, they'll also be that generation. But it's funny because I'm sitting here and I'm also Gen Z, but, like, I'm watching us and some of the things we do, like, I already think it's cringe even now in the moment. So I can't even imagine in the future. But anyways, those in the former group know that he's been famous since his teen years, although his storylines, so to speak, are all self-produced. Yeah, don't forget about the one thing that made him get any attention at all was faked. It was him getting his photo taken at school. I think it was his senior year book photos. If not senior year, it was still in high school. And he apparently not demanded, but asked for a reshoot of his school pictures, his yearbook pictures, and then he had a picture of him like putting on his makeup while the picture's being taken. Like, oh, like, wait, let me fix my makeup. And that went huge and viral, but like the story behind it was totally faked. I think he photoshopped it or something. I'm not mad at that, to be honest. I don't really care. But it is a little bit telling, like, it says something about his character, you know, like, maybe he's not, you know, maybe he's a little sus. Maybe he's sneaky, you know, maybe he's willing to take fate into his own hands instead of leaving it into the hands of God, you know? Anyways. God, there's still more of this article. How much more can you say about him? Alright, he went viral in 2016 after he brought a ring light and used glossy highlighter to accentuate his cheekbones for his high school yearbook photo. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yep. Suddenly he was everywhere. Yes, I remember this very clearly. First male spokesperson for CoverGirl. I was actually surprised by that. I was like, really? He's the first one? There was nobody else before him? But I was always a little more liberal for my time, you know? So I guess, like, in the early 2010s, people weren't really that... like, I saw online a push towards liberalism. Like, I saw it. I witnessed it. But mainstream media wasn't really there yet. I didn't know that. To me, like, I'm young, you know? So at that time, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's normal. Like, so boys wear makeup, girls wear makeup. Like, to me, that was normal. But I didn't realize that it wasn't really mainstream yet. And so when I heard that he was the first male spokesperson for CoverGirl, I was shocked. And it's sad, too. Like, his story is so sad because it's like that Tyra Banks clip where she's like, we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Like, we were rooting for you, James. Everyone was rooting for you. It's so sad. Like, we're all rooting for you, and we rooted for this person. Like, even with the fake story, with the high school yearbook photo, you're on Ellen, you're the first male spokesperson for CoverGirl. I mean, you were inspirational, you know? And then you just had to message teenage boys. Like, it sucks. It sucks. But it's like when male celebrities come out as like trash human beings, and then you're like, oh, but the talent. And it's like, you gotta just let go of it at that point. Like, it's never worth endangering people's well being, you know? It's never worth harming, especially like younger people, like children, especially, even teenagers too. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. There is, if we gave people enough opportunities, you can find somebody equally as talented as him, if not more talented, who's a better person. So to me, it's like, nah, it's not worth it. But anyways, yeah, he's very successful. That's what this paragraph's saying. Or I should say his early career, very big. I already know. I lived through it, so. Yeah, and he said so. And here's the thing too. He didn't get canceled for these comments, right? He did get criticism for the comments, and he did apologize for the comments, but he didn't get canceled for it. We got to realize that. So it's like this right here. I mean, if cancel culture, and I guess maybe this is one of the rules they're talking about when they're like, oh, cancel culture is so fickle. People online do tend to accept apologies for bad tweets and comments and stuff like that. Because there's this idea, the biggest perception is that was a long time ago, right? So you could be young and stupid, young and immature, and you're grown and know better. But also, it's like, even if you weren't that young, it's like you could still change as a person. The biggest thing is like, are you doing anything now or very recently? And especially, are you doing anything as a grown adult who knows better? Those two things are really big. That's why Colleen's cancellation is so big, is because it's very obvious that her actions are due to poor character and not due to impulsivity because she's young or a lack of knowledge about different cultures and stuff like that. Like, she knows what she's doing. It's very obvious she knows what she's doing. And it's very obvious that she's doing things with malicious intent. So with her, it's very easy to cancel her. And rightfully so, especially with the way she responded to it. It was very arrogant. Like, it was so... That's... I already talked about her. But anyways, yeah. So with James, it's not these tweets. And these tweets, I remember he had to apologize for these tweets back when they were coming out or resurfacing, whatever. But people forgave him, you know? Charles developed a reputation for a kind of over-the-top thirstiness, a quality that could be interpreted as refreshingly candid or slightly it wasn't candid. It was very pushy. You know, even here it says his Dramageddon opponent initially accused Charles of using his fame to manipulate straight men. From what we know, he definitely was always pushy. And I get, like, okay, in his mind, he likes to date younger, right? So let's assume that means he likes to be the older one, and he also likes to be the one to pursue a man. I'm reaching here. I'm speculating right now. I don't know. But let's say he is like wants to take that role. He's really bad at it. Like playing devil's advocate, pretending that he is operating from a place of ignorance and not from a place of malice. Let's say, yeah, okay, he prefers younger. He likes to be the mature one. He likes to be the pursuer, and he likes to pursue a guy, right? We've seen the way he messages people. The way he messaged, what's that girl's name? She's a celebrity, Zara Larson's boyfriend? Or was it... Oh, no. It was... No. He slid into Zara's boyfriend's DMs, but he wasn't too much with him, so I'll give him that. But he is pushy, asking kids for armpit hair photos and stuff like that. The fact that he goes on Snapchat to find like romantic love interests for himself, or on TikTok too, it's like. And then he goes, I'm desperate. That's what it is. I'm desperate, and it's like. it's just hard to believe. Like, you're rich. You definitely can find a lot of people who would want to be with you. There's no way you can't. The only reason you can even view the dating market as against you is if you're the one who has a certain number of standards, or you're very picky and that's why you can't find anybody. And that's fine to be picky, but the way in which James is picky, they need to be very young. It's giving red flag. It's giving red flag. Anyways, look at this. He was publicly accused of sending lewd photographs and inappropriate sexual messages to a then 16-year-old fan. James said that he was misled into believing the boy was 18, and he blocked him as soon as he learned the truth. I've never been more disgusted in my life when I found out the kid was 16 years old. Okay, but you've done this more than once. That's the thing. It's like, it's one thing if this happened once, but it's happened multiple times, dude. I was mortified, absolutely mortified. I don't know. I think you can tell when 9 times out of 10, you can tell what age range somebody's in. And I suspect that he probably could tell that that kid was a teenager, you know? I don't know. I think after, let's say, pretending that this is true, pretending he doesn't have ill intentions, this happens once, you gotta go older. You just got to. And again, older, oh my god, I'm talking about a 20-year-old like they're 60. Like, 20 is very young, you know? 21 is young. You're only 24. Like, this shouldn't be an issue. Man, I don't feel sorry for you at all. I do not feel sorry for you at all. You should not be in this situation. You just shouldn't. Nah. Yeah, this paragraph is talking about more accusations that were said against him. Now, the problem is there were a few fake ones, but it doesn't, let's be honest, it doesn't take away the legitimacy of the real ones. It really doesn't. Like, yes, this article could say this. They could say, oh, but some of his allegations weren't true, so it's muddied. Like, I can think for myself as somebody who's reading this article, and I know that there's nothing muddy about any sort of accusations that are proven to be true, even if there's ones proven to be false. Like, I'm able to separate those two in my mind. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a genius or something, but I have that ability. And I think most people who's reading this also have that ability, so this is just an attempt to make James Charles innocent by, I don't even know what it would be called. Innocent by confusion? I don't know. I don't like this picture. There's nothing cool about being on your phone. There's just not. Like, most celebrities, they're like musicians or artists or something, painters. Like, even if they're actors, maybe they paint on the side or something, and so they're doing something like that. Like, that looks very cool and aesthetically pleasing to see. But to just see somebody standing there on their phone, I know he's an influencer, right? But it's just not cool to see. Anyways. Look at this. In the end, substantiated or not, multiple media reports indicated that at least 15 boys and men had accused Charles of inappropriate behavior. Literally implying that, like, most of them were lies. I don't even think most of them were lies. I think most of them were true. But even if half was true, even if a quarter was true, even if 2 are true, or let's say 3, because 3 is the classic sign of patterns. To define anything as serial, that means you've done something 3 times. So if 3 of those are true, then he's a serial person who aims for boys under the age of 18, because technically they're considered boys. Legally, they're considered boys, I mean. So I'm just saying. This is bad. This is bad. You should never, like, from the articles, from Cosmopolitan's standpoint, it is really bad to try to imply things like this, like people are lying about inappropriate behavior. Like the majority of accusers are lying, so you might as well not take any of it seriously. Or it's not as bad as it sounds. It's very bad to minimize allegations like this. This is very bad. You should never do it. It's not even smart of the publication to do that. Like, you, Cosmopolitan, could get in trouble for even doing this. I'm telling you. I'm thinking, oh, they're gonna listen to me. Like, they're gonna listen to me for PR. But I'm right, so take the free advice if you ever even see this video. The source of where the list came from was not doing any sort of research, no fact checking. I don't know. I mean, some people were fact checking. They would look at people's TikTok bios, and their age would be right in the bio, and it'd say like 15 or 16 or whatever. Like, people online definitely do as much fact checking as possible. Now, granted, a lot of people don't fact check. They lie about things with malicious intent, or they take things out of context and don't understand it, and they just spread it like wildfire. But a lot of people do fact check online. Like, I don't like this idea that people are all ignorant when they're online and they just believe everything they see and that they just spread lies all the time. Like, that does happen, but people also fact check and spread the truth too. So let's not forget about that. And there is truth to these allegations. So again, none of this you should not imply that most of the people accusing you are lying. You should not do that. You really shouldn't do that. It's so bad because from what we can tell, at least, somebody's telling the truth, and most likely multiple people are telling the truth. You are giving them the power to really, genuinely cancel you if you keep going with this behavior, if you keep doing it. At least that's a good thing that bad people are not smart enough, or maybe they're not wise enough to see past their ego and their desires. Because, man, he is opening himself up to he thinks he's canceled now. He is opening himself up to beyond cancellation by doing an article like this and talking like this. I don't know if he knows it yet. I don't know if he's self-aware of this, but he's making himself very vulnerable by saying things like this. Very, very vulnerable. And it sounds like I'm making him a victim. I am not making him a victim at all. I'm saying if I'm a bad person, first of all, pretend we know James is a bad person. Pretend all of this is true and he is a bad person. I'm speaking like if I am the bad guy and I'm trying to get away with it. And think about it in terms of like war or a battle where you don't want to leave any sort of opening for the opposing side to come in and attack us and conquer, right? Thinking about it like that, which is very intense, but I'm just thinking about it like that because this is a war in a sense. I mean, he's battling multiple people, first of all, but also this is intense and this is serious, so I do want to talk about it in a more intense way. So he's sitting here talking about basically minimizing what he's done. And from what we can tell as spectators, at least some of it's true, if not most of it's true. Man, like if he continues to do this, which it sounds like he will, because as far as we know, it hasn't been long enough since he's done this stuff to know if he's really stopped, like stories could still come out from present day. So we really don't know yet. So if he's still doing this stuff, and he's talking like this, man, he's going to get more accusers. He's going to have a bigger number than this. And then I mean, he's really going to be able to be destroyed because what can you say when you at first were minimizing what's going on, but really the number's a lot bigger than we thought? Like, it's just so not smart to talk like this. It's so not smart to talk like this. Even if there aren't more, again, if any of these people are saying things that are true, they could come back at any time and be like, listen, what he did really was that bad. Like, I know I said it was bad, but it's worse than what you guys think. Like, they could come out and say more. You know what I mean? And they could cancel you. And I'm saying this from the point of view of somebody who's a bad person just trying to get away with it. I'm not even speaking on the side of the victims, So it's like, even on his side, this is a dumb thing to do. Like, this is not smart. He is thinking way too short term. He's literally thinking, I need to sell this palette, and that's it. I'm not thinking about the rest of the future. And I mean, maybe there's a blessing in that because, again, like bad people lack foresight, I noticed. So maybe with him, I don't know if it's bad people or people with big egos. Like, I don't know the exact trait that you need to have, but I just noticed that people who do things like this, where they victimize other people and they try to hide it or minimize it or lie about it, they tend to lack foresight. They tend to lack the ability to see far into the future. They can only see what's going on right now and in the immediate future. And so they behave in ways that benefit them in the present, but really screw them over in the future. And James isn't unique in that sense. He's just like all the other people who only think in the short term and not in the long term. So, yeah, maybe that's a blessing because those people who screw over people because they're thinking in the short term, man, they don't make it in the long term. Eventually they come crashing down. Like Colleen. Colleen was huge for a long time. So many fans. But she just had to be so rude to people. She had to be a literal bully to people. To so many people. That like don't they say in Hollywood too, she's not in Hollywood, but don't they say in Hollywood to like make sure to always be nice and gracious to anyone because you never know where that person can be in a few years. They might be in a position where you would need them to give you a chance. You know what I mean? And I don't even think you should think about treating people well in that sense of like, oh, maybe you'll need them in the future. I always hated that. I think you should treat people with respect and dignity because they're people the same way that you're a person. So you also should just be treated with dignity. But again, even that, like, again, it's like people who are mean, who are bad, who are evil, whatever you want to say, they never even just at least try to be smart with it. You know what I mean? Maybe some do, right? But so many don't, and it's just weird to me. It's weird to me. Like, if you're going to be a bad person, at least be good at it. You know what I mean? At least be it in a way that you could get away with it at. Like, this is just... But again, I'm speaking from the point of view of the bad person. Now imagine speaking from the point of view of a good person. This is great. Like, you're going to literally get your karma. It's going to be so easy. You're going to be the cause of your own demise. Like, your poor behavior is going to cause your own cancellation. So he's sitting here talking about, I like to be uncancelled, please. God, this article is way too damn long. James Charles would like to be uncancelled, please. And it's all totally in his hands. And he's the reason that he's not uncancelled. And he's the reason he's not going to be uncancelled. And there's something beautiful about that. It's almost a sort of justice in a world that's so unjust. So, at the end of the day, whatever happens to him, if anything bad happens to him, he deserves it. And if good things happen to him, and he genuinely apologizes for people and changes, then that's good too. Uh-oh. I think I scrolled too far. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so he's had somebody admit that they were lying and apologize to him. Okay, but what about the others who weren't lying and were actually telling the truth? What do you say to them? Show me your armpit hair, I guess. I don't know. Anyways. If a celebrity with tens of millions of followers came sliding into your DMs, would you respond? I probably would. Okay. Yeah. This has nothing to do with the people who are underage though. Like, I don't think anybody would have a problem with you if you were DMing people of age and people sorry, I was about to say straight, and people who are gay too. You have to understand that some of his accusations was like he's trying to turn straight guys gay. It's like, if you were just trying to interact with the right people, I don't think you would be in trouble right now. I'm pretty sure the issue was a lack of consent, not like this celebrity power imbalance. That just makes things worse. You know what I mean? This isn't the core issue that you have. This isn't the main reason you're canceled. This is just making it a million times worse. This isn't doing what you think it's doing. It's just not. Well, yeah, who's gonna admit that they've groomed somebody? You can't admit to that. Like, of course not. So actually, I do want to say one thing. He says that he feels like that word is a popular buzzword right now, especially in politics, but the actual meaning of it has been so misconstrued. I will say I do kind of agree with that, only because when people talk about someone grooming somebody else, 9 times out of 10 they mean sexually. But the way a lot of people are using that term online, some people are using it sexually, but some people aren't. So, for example, Adam McIntyre's been using that term a lot against Colleen, and I do think she was grooming him, but not sexually. You get what I'm saying? I think she was grooming him for what's what's the way that she was grooming him? She was grooming him socially, I guess. She was grooming him so that hers was weird. Hers was more of like talking to him about inappropriate topics for someone his age. So, yeah, like almost like social grooming, which doesn't make sense, but she groomed him for the sake of talking about inappropriate things. You know what I'm saying? But also to mistreat him too, because like to work him as a teenager and not pay him. So she was also grooming for that. So that's like, I don't know, like labor grooming. I don't know. I'm really bad at this. But the point is, usually when people use the word grooming, they mean it in a sexual context. And then even then, I do agree that people use the word when it doesn't really apply. Because what does it say here? Manipulative behaviors. So this is what I understand grooming to be. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But to me, what I understand about grooming, sexual grooming specifically, it's when you develop a relationship with someone underage for the purpose of engaging with them sexually, romantically, once they become of age. So you do it when they're young and their hormones are out of control, their life experience isn't there yet, and their emotions are out of control, and you get them then so that by the time they're an adult, they have this chain towards you. You know what I mean? Like they have this not bias towards you, they have a connection to you already, a strong one because you got them when they were young. And anybody who has any sort of feelings or deep emotional connection to somebody when they're a child, they usually feel it pretty strongly when they become an adult. Even when they become an adult versus when you meet somebody when you're older. So I do agree that sometimes people use that word and it's like, that's not what that means. Like, grooming isn't you met somebody when you were a kid and then many years later when you're an adult you guys start dating. Like, that's not what grooming is. Grooming is literally like you maintain contact with that person. You have basically a relationship with that person, even if it's just through talking or text. And the nature of the conversations is, at least the nature of it is to harbor positive feelings towards the person who eventually wants to abuse. That's what that is. So I do agree that people use that word even when it's not really how it's supposed to be used, right? When it doesn't really mean that. But again, like, you can't play semantics. No, you can play semantics, right? This is what he wants to do to get away with what he did. He can play semantics all day long. But the end of the story is you messaged minors. Like, you talked to minors in a sexual way. You are wrong for that. And you need to stop doing that. That's it. Like, you can talk about all this extra stuff all day, but this is just you, what is this? They call it a straw man argument. Like, or a red herring. You're just trying to throw us off the trail that we're on, which is the trail of you messaging people who are underage. So, like, you're not going to get me to lose focus on what you did that's actually wrong, and that's the whole reason you're canceled in the first place, you know? So, that's what I think anyway. Bro, okay, so they're talking about his apology for messaging minors. This guy literally sat there and goes, or this guy literally sat there and said, so the reason this happened is because I'm desperate. It's never good when you're apologizing for victimizing somebody else to say that the reason you did it is because you're the victim. That's never a good thing. You're never gonna get away with that. Like, you're gonna act like you're gonna act like that was so hard to understand. Like, you're gonna act like the reaction was that unpredictable when you said something like that? It's ridiculous. Ugh. His YouTube page was demonetized and he did not return as the host of Instant Influencer. I hate to say it, but I really liked that show. That was a good show. And James is actually good at hosting. And again, if he wasn't a bad person, I'm telling you, this is just like Tyra Banks on America's Next Top Model. Like, we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. He was good on that show. And you just had to suck as a person. That's so sad. That's so sad to have an opportunity like the one that you have, or the one that you had, and to just throw it away like that for 16-year-olds, like for kids. Like, damn. Damn, what is it like to take an L like that? I don't know. I wouldn't know. I've never even been in any kind of position to be that successful, so yeah, I don't care about how much money he lost. He deserved it. Okay, so this picture, I watched H3 react to this article, so I saw this picture on there. This picture would be perfect if he was looking into the mirror instead of into the camera. That would have been a very artistic, nice photograph. I don't like that he's looking into the camera. It doesn't make sense. If you're doing your makeup, you're gonna look in the mirror. Anyways, oh my god, I'm so close to giving up on this article because I can't. I can't. Like, how are you still saying? How do you have anything else to say? Yeah, okay, he cried when he got canceled. Again, he got canceled for a reason, so yeah, blah blah blah. I'm the victim. Yeah, okay. Look at this, look at this. The fallout became deeply personal when his younger brother, who works as a model in New York City, stopped talking to him because of the allegations. It's been 2 years since they last spoke. James, stop talking to kids so that you can actually have a relationship with your brother. Like, this does not make you look good. What? This makes you look more guilty. You know that, right? You're not coming off as the victim here. You're literally coming off as somebody who's very clearly guilty. If your brother is seeing what's happening and is like, hey, this seems legit, you know? Look at him. Oh my god, I had to take a break off of the internet and it was like a punishment for me because I love to work. Listen, I'm gonna say this. I've said this too many times. I can't keep repeating myself until I'm blue in the face. Just stop texting minors and you can do everything else that you want. But the problem is one of the things that you want to do is illegal and you just can't do that and that's it. I would like this picture if like he was making a better facial expression. I don't know. I like the picture on his phone, the selfie that he's taking. It's not the most flattering image. But I like how he's covering his eyes here, and then you see the lower part of his face. But then you see that he's taking a picture of himself. I like this photo. But anyways, I don't know why I'm talking about the photos. I'm supposed to be talking about this article. Yeah, see, I knew he was from Central New York. I'm also from New York State. What's up? First of all, you don't need to date famous celebrities who are gay. There's plenty of the thing is there's a lot of gay guys in the entertainment industry. They might not all be famous, but they're definitely there. You can't act like they're not. But no, you have to meet somebody who's famous between the age of 20 and 25 and they're gay and male. Okay. Anyways, blah blah blah, I'm a victim. Blah blah blah. Guys suck. I mean, I do agree with that, but like I don't feel bad for you in that situation anyways. Oh my god. How are you going to sit here and say that you think that his regret doesn't come across as opportunistic the way other celebrities are and that it's just that he's young and naive or whatever And again, I have to come back to this sentence because this is such a stupid sentence to put in an article like this. If I could find it. I'm not forgetting about the sentence. I don't care. I'll find it. This article is so long. At this point, you're likely familiar with the specific quid pro quo inherent in celebrity profiles like this. And it's no surprise that a star's willingness to answer intimate questions about a catastrophic stretch of their lives increases dramatically when they have a project to promote. Like, and you're literally saying that to say, and this interview is a trial balloon. We want to see, basically, we want to see how people are going to react. You're talking like this, and then you're expecting me to believe that you're telling the truth about the fact that you think he's being genuine when you literally just told us that you have an agenda in terms of this interview with him. Like, there's something at stake for you, because that's what a quid pro quo is. It's when you're doing something for someone else to get something in return. And I'm supposed to believe you when you said, oh yeah, but he seems really genuine. He's not like other YouTubers or other celebrities acting like this. Like, to me, I think he's being genuine. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Sorry, this is really bad the way I'm scrolling through this. I apologize. But yeah, no, I'm not taking your word at all. I don't believe your word, basically. Look at this. Why didn't he just stick to actual adult dating apps? Oh, because he went on Raya and Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble, and he felt too exposed. Like, anyone he swiped right on was going to take screenshots of their conversations or brag to their friends about it. Yeah, no, like, yeah, it makes sense, I guess. Like, you don't want to be exposed. That's why you message teenagers who are way less likely to brag to their friends about the fact that James Charles is messaging them. Right. That makes sense. I don't care what you would do if you were in James's situation. I literally, like, I don't care. Eh, I don't like that picture. Bro, after all this, he's gonna say that even though he's more cautious now, he's not giving up on DM sliding completely. Dude, dude. You need to message people whose age is very clear. That's what you need to do. It needs to be very clear that they're an adult. If you're gonna still be sliding in DMs. Bro said, I can't tell if you're 18 or not. Give me an ID. Look at this. Look at this. To me, oh my god. To me, the fact that you keep finding people who are underage says something about you. Because 9 times out of 10, teenagers look like teenagers. Very few look old for their age. Some do. Like, I looked old for my age when I was a teenager. But, like, for the vast majority of the time, no, they don't. Especially teenage boys. And I'm not trying to make girls out to be people who grow up very fast. Like, oh, girls mature so much faster than boys. I'm not trying to do that. But, like, physically and looks-wise, as teenagers, girls too look a little older usually. Usually. No excuse to do anything to teenage girls, by the way. I'm just saying. Like, he has even less of an excuse to use the whole, oh, he looked old for his age, like a 17-year-old. Some do. But most 17-year-olds are not going to look grown at that age. Like, they're just not, like, I just don't understand how this can happen to you this many times. I don't think this many 17-year-olds or 16-year-olds look grown, like look like they're adults. I just don't believe it. I don't know. I could be wrong, but it's sus of you, James. It's not sus of them, in my opinion. James, and this goal that you have to reclaim your spot in cultural mainstream, it's actually not hard for you to do. Well, it might be if you're into teenage boys. It really might be very hard, but all you got to do is not message people who are under the age of 18. That's all you have to do. All you have to do, and you could come right back. So you're willing to stop? Are you? Anyways. Again, I don't care about your professional story. I just don't. This is kind of a nice picture. I kind of like this. Anyways. I like this theme of a makeup palette inspired by paint because it's a way to say like makeup is art. It could be artistic. It's not just purely aesthetics. It's also something creative. I like that. Wet lipstick-esque formula that dries matte. Yeah, no, that sounds. The concept sounds really cool. I don't know if I would call it painted. I feel like you could come up with a better name than that. Like, let me think. Like maybe if you said like acrylic or something or watercolor. Like if you were to think of an idea of a specific type of paint and then name it after that, it would sound cooler than just straight up painted. But anyways. Again, he's talking here about we should grow and learn and blah, blah, blah. But you're not growing and you're not learning. That's the thing. You are not growing and not learning. Like, how many times do I have to repeat myself? How many? How many times? I don't know. Oh my god. Finally. We're almost done. This ending is very anticlimactic. Like, again, acting like figuring out if somebody's going to be uncancelled or not is like so random. It's not. Like, all people need is to not have it shoved in their face that somebody's screwing over people or committing crimes or potential crimes in the present day. That's all people really need. If you did something a while ago and you don't do that anymore and you apologize for it, you're fine. Like it's really not that hard to comprehend. You just want to continue doing bad things but get forgiven for them every single time you do it. That's what you want. You're never going to get that. That's not how the internet works. That's not how living in any sort of society works where there's people existing that are not you. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, so this article, first of all, way too long. And second of all, really bad for both Cosmo and James Charles. This article did not help. It doesn't make you look innocent. It actually makes you look as guilty as you've already looked even before it. And you're talking about that this article is like a trial balloon. Well, listen, I'm not the only one who has this opinion on it. Nobody thinks this sounds good. Nobody thinks that you're a better person. Nobody thinks that you should just come right back at all. And you know, maybe, again, maybe it's for the best. Like, maybe you very clearly are somebody who's just not a good person and somebody who just doesn't belong in the position that you once were in, you know? And you had a lot of support, so there's really no excuse for this. You know, it's not like everybody was always against you. Like, you had some people against you here and there, but a lot of people were rooting for you, myself included. And you threw that all away. And that's all you, James. That's not anybody else doing that to you. It's you. Anyways, I would like to hear you guys' opinions in the comments section down below. If you like this video, please like the video. And subscribe if you want to hear more of my opinions on different topics. And let me know too in the comments if you want to. If you want to hear anything else, let me know in the comment section below what you want me to talk about next. I'm Epicharismatic, and I hope to see you all in the next video.